I'm Erin Galleri.
And I'm Mallory Chops.
And we're from Genesee, Idaho, and the Genesee FFA Chapter.
Our Nutrients for Life project consisted of a one-day workshop open to our school and community on fertilizers. Since agriculture is huge in our area, we teamed up with a company that specializes in fertilizers, and that's the McGregor Company.
After talking with the McGregor Company and a little research of our own, we came up with three main goals that we wanted to touch on in our presentation. The first we wanted to touch on was the misconception of inorganic and organic fertilizers. The second, we wanted to talk about how fertilizers themselves aren't bad, but the way that people misuse them are.
And the final thing we wanted to talk about and really stress is that instead of targeting a specific age, we wanted to leave it open to our whole K-12 school as well as the community to share the information that we learned.
So thank you for giving us the opportunity to share our research with the rest of our town and community, and we hope you enjoy our video.
For our first demonstration we wanted to directly talk about our second goal, which was using the correct amount of fertilizers and kind of the whole idea of misuse. So for that we created, diagrams of the different layers of soil and how no fertilizer would look compared to the perfect amount and too much, and how it directly affects your water source. And we felt like this is a really good demonstration to use simply because it's something that's relatable to all ages, which was one thing that we were specifically trying to look for, I guess.
And a good thing about this demonstration was that it appealed to all types of learners. Those that were able to learn visually got to see, man, that's no fertilizer, as opposed to one that has a lot of fertilizer in it. And I think that the kids respond very positively to that kind of learning. And we tried to incorporate that a lot into the rest of our presentation. We really liked this demonstration board because it had 3 different plants on it, but all that people in our area would know. We had corn, a landscaping plant, and a grass. And you can really tell the differences between the plant that got the fertilizer and that didn't, or just had an organic fertilizer. So.
One of our more hands-on experiments was the celery demonstration, which we got from the Nourishing the Planet workbook. In this demonstration, it showed directly how plants absorb fertilizers and how too much the plant won't absorb it right and not enough, and how that plays a role in plants. This was a really popular one just because everyone got to see, physically hold a celery and see how much, the fertilizer played a role into it.
And how the celery absorbed it.
Yeah.
And since kids are told to eat their vegetables and their moms give them celery, it's something that they're familiar with, and seeing how a fertilizer can affect that plant that they're going to eat was really handy.
And when we were going through the book trying to find stuff that we thought would be interesting, this one really stood out to us because it's something that we learned a lot from, so I figured that if we could learn a lot from it, then a lot of people would, and it was a pretty popular demonstration.
Our last demonstration, the McGregor Company really helped us with. They brought in many different fertilizers and gave us the idea that helped us with our first goal, which clears up the misconception of inorganic fertilizers versus organic fertilizers. And most people think that organic fertilizing means putting manure on your crops, and inorganic means synthetic chemicals. But we were able to tell our audiences that all of these fertilizers are in a sense organic, because the solid forms, this one's potassium and it's mined straight out of the ground this color. And so when we were able to tell people things like that, then they're like, oh, wow, that maybe we are really wrong about this subject.
Yeah, and then another thing that this brought up was the importance of safety, which Aaron talked a lot about with the gloves and the lab coats that we wore. That's really good. Okay, so these are samples of like the layers of the earth, and the white sand is the layer that you plant your crops on and you walk on, and then the bottom would be like the groundwater, the water where our wells are drilled from. This one represents the red is the fertilizer that's been put into it. So this would be the correct amount of fertilizer. And does anyone know why it's probably a good amount?
Okay, because it's not too red and it's not all the way down into the earth.
Yeah, exactly. It's only in this layer, the layer that needs it. Does anyone know why this one probably isn't a good one? Yeah, and you see that it's clear down here where your drinking water is? That means that those chemicals that you're feeding your plants, if you do way too much and you don't do the right amount, it gets into your water and then you can't drink it.
This corn example right here, this is a corn cob. You guys ever have corn on the cob? Okay, that's what this is. And this one right here has a nitrogen deficiency, which basically means that it needs more nitrogen so that it can grow. But it's not getting that nitrogen because the fertilizers aren't being used. This one right here has been getting the nitrogen that it needs from its fertilizers. So it's been able to grow big kernels. They're plump, they're juicy. So as the consumer, which one do you guys think that you guys would want to eat? The left one or the right one? Right, exactly.
The second picture is a picture of two plants that both originally needed sulfur. And this one right here, the smaller one, is what you consider organic. It never had fertilizers on it. But the one that's bigger and greener and the healthier plant is the one that was treated for the sulfur, given a fertilizer that had sulfur in it to balance out what it was missing. So in essence, this is the plant that was given vitamins to take care of what it was missing. And I think it works pretty well because it grew a lot bigger than the other plant.
And then this example is grass, which is little clumps of grass. And these ones on the right have been given a fertilizer. So they're big, they're really green, and they're a lot bushier than these ones over here that haven't had a fertilizer. And to show you how the fertilizer gets into the plant, we have this example.
Okay, so we're going to pretend that this blue food coloring is fertilizer. And that these are plants. Okay, so let's say this plant needed fertilizer for sulfur or anything. Okay, so if we gave it the right amount and the right kind of fertilizer that it needed to make up what it was missing, it absorbs it into the plant. Can you see how it's absorbed inside the plant? Because it's given the right amount, and so it can use it to become a healthier plant. But let's say we didn't really know. We didn't test our soil and we just gave it a fertilizer. We gave it the wrong kind and not the right amount. See how it just stays at the bottom of the plant? And the plant doesn't actually absorb it. And now this plant is kind of sad looking, wilted, because it never got the right amount. So it shows how important it is to make sure you have the right kind of fertilizer in the right amount so that your plant grows and doesn't look like this.
All right, now we have just been using Kool-Aid in that example, and this is just food coloring and water. So we haven't actually been dealing with the chemicals. If we were going to be, we would want to use rubber gloves. Because even though this stuff is good for our plants, and it's not exactly going to harm us, if we get it on our hands and then we touch our eyes, it might hurt our eyes or get it in our mouth or anything. We don't want to do that. So make sure that you're always protecting yourself.
This one. All right, so who can tell me which one is the right amount of fertilizer? You. Yeah, very good. And do you know why this one's better than this one?
Because it doesn't get water.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, out of this picture, which side has been using fertilizer?
The left side? I mean the right.
Okay, the right side. And why is using the fertilizer a good thing?
So it helps the plant grow.
Exactly.
My name is Bill Crick. I work for the McGregor Company in Genesee, Idaho, and I was approached by the local FFA group to help them with a project they have on teaching the students of the local school about fertilizer and its uses and the safety of it and how it's so important to feed the world. It was an interesting project for me to work with. I learned a lot. We provided samples for them to show the students. They had students from kindergarten through senior high school, so they had their hands full trying to put a program together that would be interesting and educational for all the different levels. And I think they did a really good job of that with their demonstrations. They had one where they were using celery to show how nutrients can move through the plant, and it was really helpful, I think, especially with the younger kids, to see how things move within a plant. I don't think that they really had a grasp of that, and it was fun to watch, to see the kids, and the questions they asked was pretty interesting. They have a different perspective than I'd ever thought of, so that was enjoyable for me to watch. They did a really good job, I think, of creating a positive image of what fertilizer does and how the safety of it and how that it's a natural product. It's things that come from the earth that we're using. It's not like it's the negative connotation that fertilizers have gotten or chemicals have kind of got thrown together. And so I think they did a really good job of explaining how it's a natural organic thing that comes from the earth, and we're using it to supplement to grow more food to feed the world. I guess I would just say that it's a pleasure for us as a company to help out in any of these ways. The local FFA group has been very good with animal projects at the fairs, with educating the public in general on what we do as farmers and as an industry, and so I was proud of everything they've done, and I was proud to be part of this project.
Okay, well, their presentation was a fun way to learn about new fertilizers and what they do.
What did you think of their presentation?
I think it was awesome. I learned a lot about fertilizers. I learned the difference between organic and non-organic, quantities to use and not to use. I think they did a great job.
Can you tell me something you learned?
That most fertilizers are organic.
Well, I learned a lot of things today, and I think the most important ones are that, too much fertilizer is a bad thing, and you put it in your ground, it'll just get in your water, and that's really not what you want. I really like the Kool-Aid demonstration because it shows that, like I said, too much fertilizer is a bad thing, and overall, it doesn't help you, It basically it ruins what you're trying to do, and it has a negative effect, so a positive one, so, you shouldn't put too much fertilizer in the ground.
All in all, we were pretty happy with how our presentation went. We feel like it was received very positively with our audience. So
We talked to over 300 people of various ages, and that was kind of our biggest challenge, was to make it engaging for everyone. And we've had a lot of people come up to us and tell us what they learned and how much they liked about our presentation. And so I felt like we kind of achieved that goal of making it something that everyone could walk away with something.
and especially telling the young kids all of our information about fertilizers. They go home, they tell their parents. Their parents are kind of skeptical as to what they heard, and then they try to figure it out. So we feel like what we've created can only grow amongst our community. People are just going to want to find more about fertilizers and everything in general.
And we want to thank all the people who supported us, our ag teacher, Mr. Morrow, Bill Crick, and the guys in McGregor's.
Our film lady, Teresa Carlson, who put up with us all throughout.
So
thank you for giving us the opportunity to share all of our information with our community, and we hope you enjoyed our video.